Redstone confuses the hell out of most players, but it's honestly just Minecraft electricity with extra steps. Today we're breaking down every single component. The stuff that makes power, the stuff that moves it around, and the stuff that actually does cool things when you flip a switch. From basic redstone dust to the components powering those insane flying machines you've seen, we're covering it all. And yeah, we'll tackle both Java's weird bugs-turned features and Bedrock's no-fun-allowed timing system. Let's start with the basics that make this whole mess work. Redstone dust. The red sparkly powder is literally the wiring of Minecraft, connecting every component you'll ever build. You mine it from redstone or deep underground between Y levels -64 and -59, and each ore drops 4 to 5 dust with fortune enchantments, boosting that up to 11 pieces. The dust places on top of solid blocks and creates these automatic connection patterns, forming lines, T-shapes, or cross configurations depending on what's around it. Signals travel through dust but decay by 1 strength level per block, meaning a signal of 15 only reaches 15 blocks before dying out completely. It weakly powers blocks underneath and wherever it points, but you need repeaters to reset that signal strength back to full. Java Edition lets you run dust diagonally upward using stairs and slabs, while Bedrock has this weird behavior where dust can power downward through glass blocks. The dust itself doesn't just transmit power though, it also creates these red particle trails that show you exactly where your signal is flowing, making debugging circuits way easier than it should be. Redstone torch. Your basic power source doubles as a NOT gate in one flaming stick of inverted logic. Craft it with a stick, redstone dust, and you've got yourself a torch that provides constant power at strength 15 unless the block it's attached to gets powered. The inverted logic is what makes torches special because when you power the block underneath, the torch turns off, giving you instant logic gates for more complex circuits. These things have a 2-tick delay built in, which matters when you're building clocks and pulse generators that rely on precise timing. Spam them too fast with 8 toggles in 3 seconds and they'll burn out temporarily, forcing you to wait before they relight. Java Edition torches turn off from both weak and strong power, but Bedrock only responds to strong power, creating one of those annoying cross-platform differences. They also emit light level 7, making them useful for both circuits and mood lighting in your redstone builds. Naturally spawning torches show up in igloos and ancient cities, hinting at some kind of lost civilization that understood redstone mechanics. The torch powers the block directly above it with strong power, letting you send signals vertically without using dust or repeaters. Torches seem simple, right? But they're hiding the secret to every advanced circuit you've ever seen. Keep that in mind because when we get to comparators, you'll see why these basic torches are doing something no other power source can. But we need repeaters first. Redstone repeater. Signal amplifier, directional lock, and adjustable delay all crammed into one arrow-shaped block. Craft it with 3 stone, 2 redstone torches, and redstone dust, and you've solved half your circuit problems instantly. Repeaters reset any incoming signal back to strength 15, letting you extend circuits way beyond that 15-block dust limit without losing power. The directional nature means signals only flow from the back input to the front output, preventing unwanted feedback loops that would break your contraptions. You can adjust the delay between 1 and 4 settings, representing 2 to 8 game ticks or 0.1 to 0.4 seconds in real time. Right-clicking cycles through these delays, with visible torch positions showing you which setting you're on without needing to test it. The coolest feature is signal locking, where powering the side of a repeater freezes its output state, perfect for memory cells and combination locks. These things are essential for building clocks since you can chain multiple repeaters with different delays to create timed pulses. Java and Bedrock handle repeaters almost identically, making them one of the most reliable cross-platform components you can use. So repeaters amplify and delay. Useful, sure. But here's the thing. If repeaters could do everything, why do comparators even exist? That question matters, because the answer splits redstone into 2 completely different worlds, and most players only live in one of them. Redstone comparator. Comparing signals, subtracting them, and reading container fullness. This torch-topped block does things that seem like magic. Crafted from nether quartz, 3 stone, and 3 redstone torches, comparators unlock measurement-based redstone that goes way beyond simple on-off switches. In compare mode with the front torch off, the comparator outputs the rear signal only if it's greater than or equal to the highest side signal, giving you greater than logic. Subtract mode lights up the front torch and outputs the rear signal minus the maximum side signal, perfect for creating analog circuits with variable signal strengths. The real power shows up when you point a comparator at containers because it reads fullness levels, outputting strength based on how many items are inside relative to capacity. A full chest outputs 15, 1 stack gives you roughly 1 strength, and this scales perfectly for item counters and storage systems. Comparators also read block states like the frequency of Sculk sensors, the page number of lecterns, and the record inserted into jukeboxes. The 2-tick delay built into comparators matters for timing sensitive builds, but usually usually doesn't cause problems in most contraptions. You can chain comparators to create complex logic gates that would require dozens of other components to replicate. These things revolutionized Redstone when they dropped in the 1.5 update, enabling item sorters and auto farms that were previously impossible, and that's why comparators broke Redstone wide open. They didn't just add features, they added an entirely new logic system most players still don't use. But here's what's wild. None of this power matters if you can't control when it activates, which brings us to the components everyone thinks they understand but actually uses wrong. Lever. One click toggles it on, another click toggles it off, dead simple, perfectly reliable. Craft it from one stick and one cobblestone, and you've got the most reliable constant power source in the entire game. Levers attach to the sides, tops, and bottoms of blocks, staying in whatever position you leave them until you manually flip them again. They output signal strength 15 instantly with 0 delay, making them perfect for powering doors, lamps, and any mechanism that needs to stay active indefinitely. The attached block receives power, which then spreads to adjacent dust, repeaters, and comparators exactly like you'd expect. Unlike buttons that automatically turn off, levers give you full manual control over when your contraptions activate and deactivate. They work identically on Java and Bedrock, which is refreshing given how many components have annoying addition differences. You'll find levers in basically every starter Redstone tutorial because they're dead simple to understand and use. Players use them for everything from lighting switches to emergency farm shutoffs that need reliable constant power. Button. These small wall-mounted switches generate quick pulses when pressed, resetting automatically after a set duration. Stone buttons pulse for 1 second, while wooden buttons last 1.5 seconds, with arrows extending wooden button timers up to 1 full minute if they stick into the button. Craft stone buttons from stone or polished blackstone, and wooden buttons from any plank type, giving you material variants that look different but function almost identically. Buttons attach to block sides and tops, outputting strength 15 to the attached block and any connected redstone components. The automatic shutoff makes buttons perfect for temporary activations like opening doors, triggering traps, or sending quick signals through your circuits. Wooden buttons uniquely detect arrows and all mob types including players, while stone buttons only respond to player clicks, giving you entity filtering for mob farms and traps. That pulse duration difference between wood and stone rarely matters, but speedrunners and technical players exploit those extra ticks for specific contraptions. Buttons are everywhere in adventure maps because they give map makers time challenges and puzzle mechanics without needing complex circuits. Buttons and levers seem obvious. Click, power flows, done. But detection isn't about clicking, it's about what triggers without you touching anything. And that's where most players' contraptions fall apart, because the next components don't wait for you to activate them. They activate themselves. And choosing the wrong detector, your entire farm breaks. Pressure plate, stone. Players and mobs trigger it, but items and projectiles completely ignored. Crafted from 2 stone blocks, stone plates give you entity detection with built-in filtering that's perfect for mob farms. The plate outputs signal strength 15 for at least 1.5 seconds, reactivating instantly if something stays on top. Only players and mobs trigger stone plates, meaning dropped items won't accidentally set off your traps or mechanisms. This filtering behavior makes stone plates essential for designs where you want mob detection but need to ignore item drops that would false trigger everything. They sit flat on block surfaces, looking clean and fitting perfectly into floor designs without creating obvious trap indicators. The pulse duration extends automatically as long as entities remain on the plate, shutting off shortly after they step off. Stone plates work identically to their wooden counterparts timing-wise, but differ completely in what they detect. You'll see these in every mob farm entrance and secret door that needs to open only for living entities. Pressure plate, wooden. This crafted from planks variant detects everything that touches it, including items, mobs, players, and even projectiles. The universal detection makes wooden plates incredibly versatile, but also prone to accidental triggering from random drops. Any entity that lands on a wooden plate activates it for at least 1.5 seconds at strength 15, making them perfect for automatic doors that open when you walk up carrying items. Dropped items are both a feature and a problem because they let you build item detection systems, but also cause false activations when fighting mobs that drop loot. Players use wooden plates for automatic entrances where convenience matters more than security, since anything can trigger them. The plate extends its pulse as long as something remains on top, creating sustained power for mechanisms that need continuous input. Like stone plates, wooden variants sit flush with block surfaces and look nearly identical apart from their wood texture. You can craft these from any wood type, giving you color options that match your build aesthetic. Wooden plates show up in casual builds and beginner contraptions because they're simple to understand and activate from literally anything. Pressure plate, lightweighted. Gold constructed and analog precise, this plate counts entities and scales its output from 1 to 15 based on crowd size. Crafted from 2 gold ingots, light-weighted plates give you precise counting mechanics that normal plates can't match. One entity outputs signal strength 1. 15 entities max out at strength 15, creating perfect linear scaling for entity counters and precise detection systems. The plate updates every 10 ticks but responds faster than that implies, giving you near-instant output changes as entities enter and leave. Light-weighted plates detect everything, including items, mobs, players, and projectiles, making them universal detectors with analog output. This precision lets you build contraptions that respond differently based on entity count, like doors that only open when enough players gather or traps that trigger at specific mob densities. The gold cost makes these slightly expensive compared to normal plates, but the functionality justifies the investment for technical builds. These plates are essential for creating comparator-based systems that need to measure exact quantities rather than just detecting presence. You rarely see weighted plates in casual builds because most players don't need analog counting, but technical redstone engineers use them constantly. Weighted plates count entities with precision. Heavy plates need bigger groups. Seems straightforward. But here's what nobody tells you. Analog counting is worthless unless you're comparing it to something. Remember comparators? This is where they become essential. But before we get there, we need to talk about detection that players literally can't see. Pressure plate, heavy weighted. The iron variant counts in groups of 10, outputting strength 1 per 10 entities until you hit 150 for maximum power. Crafted from 2 iron ingots, heavy-weighted plates measure larger entity groups than their gold counterparts. The 10-entity scaling means these plates ignore small numbers, only responding when you've got significant entity counts standing on them. This makes heavy plates perfect for measuring large mob farms or counting minecart throughput in rail systems that handle bulk transport. They detect everything just like light-weighted plates, responding to items, mobs, players, and projectiles with the same universal detection. The slower scaling compared to gold plates means you need 10 times more entities to reach the same signal strength, changing how you design your counting circuits. Iron is way cheaper than gold, making heavy-weighted plates more accessible for builders who need analog detection without burning precious gold. These plates update with the same timing as light-weighted variants, maintaining consistent behavior across both weighted types. Technical players use heavy-weighted plates when they need to threshold, detect large groups rather than counting precise small numbers. Tripwire. Nearly invisible string stretched between hooks catches anything that crosses its path. String segments placed between 2 tripwire hooks form the actual detection zone, with each hook outputting a pulse when something breaks the line. The string itself is nearly invisible, appearing as thin threads between hooks that players often miss until they're already caught. Any entity including players, mobs, items, and projectiles that moves through the string triggers both connected hooks simultaneously. Hooks output signal strength 15 for at least 0.5 seconds, giving you time to activate mechanisms before the pulse ends. Breaking the string or hooks also triggers the circuit, making these useful for detecting grief attempts or accidental breaks. You can run string up to 40 blocks between hooks, creating long detection corridors in adventure maps and trap hallways. The invisible nature of tripwire makes it perfect for hidden traps that surprise players who don't notice the thin threads. String requires line of sight between hooks and proper placement on block sides, adding some complexity to setup compared to pressure plates. These show up constantly in adventure maps and custom minigames where visible detectors would ruin the challenge. Tripwire hook. Wall-mounted and ready to tattle, these hooks connect string and generate pulses when something trips the wire. Crafted from iron ingot, stick, and wooden plank, hooks provide the actual redstone output, while string just creates the detection zone. Hooks must face each other and be placed on opposite block sides at the same Y level for the string to connect properly. When entities cross the connected string, both hooks pulse at strength 15 for at least 0.5 seconds simultaneously. The hook's attached block receives power, letting you connect dust or other components directly to the wall without needing extra wiring. You can create tripwire corners by having multiple hooks connect to the same string segments, though this requires careful positioning to avoid accidental connections. Hooks without string stay inactive until you place string between them and another hook, giving you setup flexibility. Breaking either the hook or the string triggers the circuit one final time before deactivating, providing break detection. These combine with string to create some of the cleanest hidden detection systems available, especially in adventure maps where visible redstone would break immersion. Invisible tripwires, weighted plates, pressure sensors, all detecting entities, right? Wrong. They're detecting physical presence. What if you need to detect time, or weather, or sound? That's not entity detection anymore. That's environment detection, and it changes everything about what your contraptions can respond to. Daylight sensor. Point it at the sky and it measures sunlight, outputting signal strength based on time of day and weather. Crafted from glass, nether quartz, and wooden slabs, sensors give you time-based automation without needing complex clock circuits. The sensor outputs strength 0 to 15 based on skylight level, maxing out at 15 during midday and dropping to 0 at midnight. Rain and thunderstorms reduce the output even during daytime, giving you weather-responsive circuits without additional components. Right-clicking inverts the sensor, making it output maximum power at night and minimum during day, perfect for automatic lighting systems. The smooth analog output creates gradual signal changes as the sun moves across the sky, rather than sudden on-off switches. Sensors need clear sky access to work properly, meaning placing blocks above them ruins their detection ability. These enable time-of-day farms, automatic lighting, and clock-synchronized contraptions that activate at specific times. You see daylight sensors in bases where lights should turn on at sunset and off at sunrise, creating realistic automation. The weather sensitivity means storms can accidentally trigger your circuits unless you account for that in your design. Time-based automation sounds powerful, and it is, until you realize the sun moves the same way every single day. Predictable, boring. But what if you could detect things that don't follow patterns? What if you could detect chaos? Keep that question in your head because the next 3 components throw randomness into Redstone in ways that shouldn't be possible. Target block. Bullseye pattern, projectile detection, and accuracy-based output, it's archery turned into redstone. Crafted from redstone dust surrounding hay bales, targets turn archery into redstone input with precision detection. Arrows and tridents that hit the outer rings output lower signal strengths, while center hits max out at 15, creating accuracy-based analog output. The signal pulses for 1 second with arrows and 0.4 seconds with tridents, giving you different timing options based on projectile type. Target blocks don't care who shot the projectile, responding equally to player arrows, skeleton shots, and dispenser launches. The visual feedback of the bullseye rings makes it obvious where your projectile landed, useful for both gameplay and circuit debugging. These blocks enable minigames and challenges where hitting targets activates mechanisms or scores points based on precision. Adventure maps use targets constantly for archery challenges and combination locks that require hitting specific patterns. The projectile detection works from any angle, meaning you can create 3-dimensional target ranges with detection from all sides. Lightning rod. 3 copper ingots stacked into a spike that attracts lightning from 64 blocks away and pulses when struck. Crafted from 3 copper ingots, rods provide weather-based randomness and mob spawning potential for charged creepers. When lightning strikes naturally or gets redirected by the rod, it outputs signal strength 15 for 0.4 seconds to adjacent redstone components. The rod conducts lightning straight down, preventing fire spread and protecting wooden builds from random lightning damage. Throwing channeling tridents during storms counts as lightning strikes, giving you manual control over when the rod activates. Rods placed within 64 blocks of each other compete for strikes, with only the closest one triggering, adding positioning strategy to farm designs. The brief pulse duration means you need repeaters or other pulse extenders if your mechanisms need longer activation times. These enable charged creeper farms since lightning converts nearby creepers into their charged variants with double explosion power. Lightning rods also protect villagers and animals from random strikes that would otherwise kill them and ruin your farms. The copper construction means rods oxidize over time just like other copper blocks, changing color but maintaining full functionality. Observer. Face-blocked and instant, observers detect any block change in front of them and fire 2-tick pulses immediately. Crafted from cobblestone, redstone dust, and nether quartz, observers create instant detection for anything that changes state or updates. Java Edition observers detect block state changes like crops growing, pistons moving, or grass spreading, making them perfect for automatic farm harvesting. Bedrock Edition detects any block update, including those from neighboring blocks, creating different behavior that sometimes feels buggier but enables unique contraptions. The 2-tick pulse at strength 15 fires from the back face whenever the front face detects a valid chain, creating instant response times. Observers are movable by pistons, letting you build flying machines that propel themselves forward by observing their own movement. The instant detection with no delay makes observers essential for fast farms and rapid-firing mechanisms that need immediate responses. These replaced old BUD switches that exploited quasi-connectivity bugs, giving players an official way to detect block updates. Players use observers for everything from tree farms that harvest when logs grow to sugarcane farms that break when the plant gets tall enough. The directional nature means you need careful placement to ensure the observer faces the blocks you actually want to monitor. Observers detect block updates, instant, automatic, game-changing, but Java and Bedrock detect different updates, which means the same contraption can work perfectly in one version and completely break in another. And that version split, it gets worse. Way worse, because the next components don't just detect differently, they detect things that shouldn't exist in one version at all. Sculk sensor. Vibration detection from the deep dark. It hears player actions within 8 blocks and outputs signals based on what you did. Found naturally in ancient cities, sensors provide sound-based detection that works through walls and ignores line of sight. The sensor picks up vibrations from walking, jumping, placing blocks, and dozens of other actions within 8 blocks, outputting strength 8 to 15 based on distance. Each vibration type has an assigned frequency that comparators can read, letting you filter detection to specific actions like only door openings or only footsteps. Sensors cool down for 0.5 seconds after triggering, preventing spam but also meaning rapid actions might get missed. Wool placed between the sensor and vibration source completely blocks detection, giving you soundproofing mechanics for stealth areas. The sensor glows and emits particles when triggering, providing clear visual feedback about when it detects something. These enable silent alarms and security systems that don't rely on visible tripwires or pressure plates. Adventure maps use Sculk sensors for stealth sections where making noise triggers traps or spawns enemies. The vibration mechanics feel almost like real sound propagation, adding immersion to detection-based contraptions. Calibrated Sculk sensor. Take a regular Sculk sensor, add amethyst shards, and suddenly you can filter which vibrations actually trigger it. Crafted from a normal Sculk sensor with amethyst shards, calibrated sensors give you precise control over what actions get detected. Powering the side with specific signal strengths tells the sensor to only respond to matching vibration frequencies, creating precise filtering without complex circuits. The sensor outputs 0.5-second pulses at strength 15 only when detecting its configured frequency, ignoring everything else completely. You can change the filtered frequency by adjusting the side signal strength using comparators or other variable power sources. The compact filtering makes these perfect for contraptions that need to detect door openings but ignore footsteps or vice versa. Calibrated sensors cool down identically to normal sensors, maintaining the same 0.5-second lockout between triggers. These let you create sophisticated detection grids where different sensors respond to different actions in the same area. Technical players use calibrated sensors to build security systems that trigger different traps based on specific player actions. The side signal filtering means you can reconfigure the sensor dynamically during gameplay, adapting detection on the fly. Sculk Shrieker. Ominous, loud, and increasingly dangerous, shriekers respond to nearby sensor activations and summon the warden after your 4th mistake. Found in ancient cities, shriekers provide escalating danger mechanics tied to vibration detection. Natural shriekers count player-triggered activations, summoning a warden after the 4th shriek if enough time hasn't passed between triggers. Player-placed shriekers don't summon wardens but still shriek loudly, giving you the audio effect without the deadly consequences. The shriek produces a loud sound and darkness effect that applies to nearby players, creating atmospheric tension even without warden spawns. Shriekers activate when powered directly by Redstone or when they detect activated Sculk sensors within 8 blocks. Each shriek applies 1 warning level to nearby players, displayed as a flickering darkness effect that grows stronger with each level. The warning level decays slowly over time, resetting after 12 minutes without additional shrieks. Adventure maps use shriekers for horror sections or challenge areas where repeated mistakes summon a warden to punish the player. The loud audio makes shriekers unmissable, creating obvious feedback that you've triggered security systems or made detectable noise. Sculk Catalyst. Death feeds it, experience fuels it, and Sculk spreads across nearby blocks when mobs die within 8 blocks. Found in ancient cities, catalysts convert death into terrain transformation with eerie visual effects. When a mob dies within 8 blocks of an active catalyst, it drops experience as Sculk shard that the catalyst uses to spread Sculk blocks outward. The spreading creates Sculk veins, blocks, and occasionally sensors or shriekers, transforming normal terrain into deep dark aesthetics over time. Catalysts themselves don't provide redstone output, but enable automated Sculk farming by converting mob farms into Sculk generators. The experience requirement means you need actual mob deaths rather than creative killing, connecting Sculk spread to survival gameplay. Players use catalysts in mob farms to generate renewable Sculk blocks for building and decoration without raiding multiple ancient cities. The spreading follows specific rules about which blocks can be converted, creating predictable patterns you can exploit for farm designs. Catalysts add this creeping horror element where each mob death slightly corrupts the environment, fitting the ancient city lore perfectly. So Sculk gives you experience-based detection, sound-based detection, and even warden summoning if you're chaotic enough. Powerful stuff. But detection is only half of Redstone. The other half, movement. And that's where things get mechanical. Because the next components don't sense, they physically move the world around them. And that's when contraptions stop being circuits and start being machines. Piston. This mechanical block pushes up to 12 blocks in the direction it faces when powered. Crafted from planks, cobblestone, iron ingot, and redstone dust, pistons form the foundation of every moving contraption. The piston extends its arm 1 block forward, pushing any movable blocks in front of it and stopping if it hits unmovable blocks or exceeds the 12-block limit. Extending takes 2 to 4 ticks depending on the timing of the power signal, giving you predictable movement speeds for complex machines. Java Edition pistons have quasi-connectivity, meaning they activate when the block above them gets powered, even if the piston itself isn't directly powered. Bedrock removes quasi-connectivity, requiring direct power to the piston block itself and preventing certain Java-only contraptions from working. Pistons can't push tile entities like chests or furnaces, creating natural limits on what you can move around. They work horizontally, vertically, and diagonally, giving you 3-dimensional movement for elevators, bridges, and hidden doors. The arm retracts instantly when power cuts, returning to its base state and dropping any blocks pushed beyond its extended reach. Sticky piston. Coat a piston with slime balls and suddenly it pulls blocks back instead of just pushing them forward. Crafted by adding slime balls to a normal piston, sticky pistons create two-way movement essential for advanced contraptions. The sticky arm grabs the block it pushes and pulls it back during retraction, but only if that block is still adjacent when the piston powers off. This pull behavior lets you build seamless hidden doors, retractable bridges, and flying machines that move themselves by pushing and pulling. Sticky pistons still follow the 12-block push limit and can't pull tile entities just like normal pistons. The slime connection breaks if you power the piston too briefly, causing it to push without pulling in a technique called spitting that advanced players exploit. Honey blocks attached to sticky pistons create different friction, letting you control which blocks move together in complex machine arrays. Sticky pistons are slower to retract by exactly 2 ticks compared to normal pistons, creating timing differences that matter in precision contraptions. These show up in basically every door mechanism and movable floor design because two-way movement is essential for hiding redstone in walls. Pistons push, sticky pistons pull, 12-block limit. Seems simple, but here's the problem. Pistons are dumb. They push whatever's in front of them with zero selectivity. What if you need to move some blocks but not others? What if you need structures that move together? That's not a piston problem anymore. That's a block adhesion problem, and only 2 blocks solve it. Slime block. This bouncy green block sticks to adjacent blocks when pushed by pistons, creating moving structures. Crafted from 9 slime balls, slime blocks let pistons move entire contraptions instead of just single blocks. When a piston pushes a slime block, it also pushes every block stuck to it up to the 12-block limit, letting you move complex shapes as single units. Slime blocks stick to everything except other slime blocks separated by air, glazed terracotta, and certain tile entities that can't be moved. Players standing on slime blocks bounce upward, negating fall damage and creating jump pads for parkour courses. The bouncing applies to items and mobs too, creating sorting systems and mob launchers that exploit physics. Slime blocks are essential for flying machines that propel themselves by pushing and pulling attached observers in perpetual motion. These blocks don't stick to honey blocks, letting you create separation points in moving structures where you want some parts to move independently. The green color makes slime contraptions visually distinct but also obvious, so players hide them underground or behind walls for clean builds. Honey block. Sticky amber that slows movement and sticks to everything except slime blocks. Alternative adhesion mechanics in block form. Crafted from 4 honey bottles, honey blocks provide movement control and selective adhesion. Honey blocks stick to everything that slime blocks stick to, except for slime blocks themselves, creating separation mechanics for complex moving structures. Walking on honey reduces movement speed significantly and prevents jumping, creating parkour challenges and mob slowing paths. The slowness doesn't affect creative mode players or mobs in minecarts, limiting its utility to specific situations. Honey blocks reduce fall damage by 80% when you slide down them, creating safe descents without scaffolding or water. Players use honey and slime together in flying machines where you need 2 separate moving sections that don't connect to each other. The amber appearance looks way better than slime in certain builds, giving you aesthetic options beyond just green bounce pads. Honey blocks don't bounce entities like slime does, creating stationary sticky surfaces instead of jump pads. Dispenser. Faces in any direction, holds 9 items, and actually uses them when powered. Automated item handling that does more than just spit things out. Crafted from cobblestone, bow, and redstone dust, dispensers turn static storage into active mechanisms. The dispenser fires arrows, throws potions, places armor on players, plants seeds, and performs dozens of context-specific actions based on what's inside. Loading items into the 9-slot inventory lets the dispenser cycle through them with each activation, firing 1 item per pulse. The 4-tick activation delay means rapid-fire dispensers need specific clock speeds to function optimally without jamming. Java Edition dispensers have quasi-connectivity just like Pistons, activating when blocks above them get powered without needing direct connections. Dispensers face in 6 directions, letting you create 3-dimensional item launching and placement without complex wiring. These enable automatic farms that bone meal crops, mob farms that collect items in water streams, and arrow traps that fire at intruders. The versatility means dispensers show up in basically every automated farm and combat arena that needs hands-free item interaction. Filling them with water buckets creates source placement and removal, essential for elevators and automated fishing farms. Dropper. Simpler than a dispenser and focused on one job, ejecting items forward without any special activation behavior. Crafted similarly to dispensers but with redstone instead of bow, droppers focus on moving items between containers. Droppers spit items forward or directly into adjacent containers like chests and hoppers, creating item pipelines that move resources without player interaction. The 4-tick activation matches dispensers, maintaining timing consistency across both components for hybrid contraptions. Droppers also have quasi-connectivity on Java Edition, expanding their activation options beyond just direct power. Unlike dispensers, droppers never activate items, always ejecting them as entities or transferring them into containers. This limitation makes droppers simpler but also more predictable, since you never worry about accidentally planting seeds or firing arrows. Players use droppers in item elevators that bubble lift resources vertically through stacked dropper chains into storage systems. The crafting recipe difference is tiny, but the functional split creates clear use cases where you choose droppers for transport and dispensers for activation. Hopper. Funnel shape, perpetually hungry, and essential for automation. Hoppers collect items and transfer them where they need to go. Crafted from iron ingots and chest, hoppers create the foundation of every item sorting and storage system. Hoppers pull items from containers above them and push items into containers they point toward, creating one-way item flow at 8-tick intervals. Powering a hopper with redstone locks it completely, stopping all item collection and transfer until the power cuts off. The slow 8-tick transfer rate limits throughput but prevents performance issues from massive item movements in complex farms. Hoppers collect item entities within their hitbox, pulling drops from mobs and blocks into their 5-slot inventory automatically. These connect directly to chests, furnaces, droppers, and other containers without needing droppers or other intermediaries. Item filters built from hoppers and comparators create sorting systems that route different items to different storage chests automatically. The hopper's direction matters since it only pushes items forward, creating directional flow that requires careful planning in large systems. Hopper minecart. Combine a hopper with a minecart and you get mobile collection that gathers items while rolling along rails. Crafted by combining a minecart and hopper, these carts extend hopper functionality to moving platforms. The hopper minecart pulls items from containers it passes over and collects item entities along its path, filling its 5-slot inventory. It transfers items into containers it stops above, creating mobile collection routes that cover large areas without dozens of stationary hoppers. Hopper minecarts collect items faster than stationary hoppers, pulling at 4-tick intervals instead of 8, doubling throughput for farms. They work great in mob farms where you want collection to happen across a large spawning platform without leaving hoppers everywhere. The minecart can be locked with activator rails, stopping its collection ability until it passes another activator rail to unlock. These show up in advanced farms where item collection needs to happen across rails paths that cover dozens of blocks. The mobility trades off with capacity since hopper minecarts only have 5 slots compared to potentially infinite hopper chains. Chest. This basic storage block holds 27 item stacks and creates comparator output based on fullness. Crafted from 8 planks, chests form the endpoint of every item transportation and sorting system. Chests output signal strength to adjacent comparators based on how full they are, scaling from 0 when empty to 15 when every slot has 64 items. You can create double chests by placing 2 chests side by side, doubling capacity to 54 slots and changing comparator scaling accordingly. Hoppers naturally interface with chests, pushing and pulling items automatically without player interaction or additional redstone. The comparator output lets you build fullness detectors that stop farms when storage fills or alert you to capacity problems. Chests block themselves from opening if you place blocks on top, creating natural locking mechanisms without needing redstone. These appear in literally every storage room and sorting system since they're the standard storage container that everything else connects to. The simple wooden appearance hides the complexity of comparator reading and hopper interaction that makes chests essential to automation. Trapped chest. Looks like a chest, acts like a chest, but outputs redstone signals based on how many players are currently rummaging through it. Crafted by combining a chest with a tripwire hook, trapped chests turn storage into player detection. Opening the chest outputs signal strength scaling with player count. One player gives strength 1 and 15 players max out at 15. The comparator reading shifts between fullness mode when closed and player mode when open, creating dual functionality in one block. Trapped chests combine with regular chests differently, creating trapped double chests only when both sides are trapped. The visible latch around the lock distinguishes trapped from normal chests, giving observant players warning about potential traps. These enable password locks where you need specific items in slots to prevent trap activation, or mob farm triggers that only activate when players open the chest. The player scaling means trapped chests work as occupancy sensors for rooms where you want redstone responding to how many people entered. Trapped chests show up constantly in adventure maps where opening containers triggers traps or advances story sequences. Barrel. This omnidirectional storage alternative to chests holds 27 slots and can be opened even with blocks on top. Crafted from planks and slabs, barrels provide flexible storage that doesn't need clearance space. Barrels output comparator signals identical to chests, scaling from 0 to 15 based on fullness. The ability to open barrels regardless of what's above them makes them superior for compact storage rooms where you stack containers. Barrels don't combine into double variants, creating independent storage units that take less space than double chest systems. The omnidirectional placement means you can face barrels in any direction without affecting their functionality or comparator output. These work great in item sorters where you need dozens of storage units crammed into minimal space without clearance concerns. The barrel appearance fits better in certain builds where chests look out of place or too uniform. Technical players prefer barrels in sorters because their compact footprint allows tighter spacing and better performance than sprawling chest arrays. Shulker box. Break it and the items stay inside. Portable storage that holds 27 slots and revolutionized long-distance transport. Obtained by crafting shulker shells with chests, these boxes revolutionized item transportation. Breaking a shulker box preserves all items inside, letting you carry effectively 27 extra inventory slots worth of resources in one item. The boxes come in 16 colors from different dye combinations, creating organization systems where colors denote different item categories. Shulker boxes output comparator signals like chests, scaling with fullness to create portable redstone readable storage. You can't place shulker boxes inside other shulker boxes, preventing infinite storage exploits that would break game balance. These changed how players transport resources from one base to another, eliminating multiple trips for large building projects. The boxes work with hoppers, but empty slower due to opening animations that add delays to item transfer. Shulker boxes show up in every endgame player's inventory as portable storage that makes long-distance transport actually manageable. Iron door. Metal, mob-proof, and completely unresponsive to clicking. Iron doors only open when redstone tells them to. Crafted from 6 iron ingots, iron doors prevent zombie invasions during sieges. The door requires constant redstone power to stay open, automatically closing when power cuts off. Iron doors don't respond to player interaction at all, meaning you need buttons, levers, or other power sources to operate them. These create secure bases where mobs can't follow you inside, even during zombie sieges that break wooden doors. The iron appearance signals to other players that this entrance has redstone-controlled access, rather than being freely openable. Players use iron doors in combination locks, where multiple buttons must be pressed simultaneously to provide enough power. Iron doors work great with pressure plates for automatic entrances that open as you approach and close behind you. The metal construction fits industrial and modern builds better than wooden doors that look too rustic. Iron trapdoor. Iron doors, but horizontal. These hatches seal floor and ceiling access until redstone says otherwise. Crafted from 4 iron ingots, iron trapdoors create redstone-controlled floor and ceiling access points. The trapdoor flips open when powered and closes when power cuts, creating sealable holes in floors and ceilings. Iron trapdoors block water and lava completely when closed, making them useful for controlling fluid flow in farms and traps. These work great as mob-proof windows since open trapdoors create gaps mobs won't pathfind through. The iron requirement prevents casual opening by players without redstone access, creating secure bases with controlled entry points. Players use iron trapdoors in flying machine designs where you need blocks that don't stick to slime but still provide structure. The trapdoor opening creates different hitboxes that affect mob AI and player movement in ways that enable unique farm designs. Fence gate. This gate variant opens with redstone power instead of player interaction when locked in the open position. Crafted from sticks and planks, fence gates create animal pens with redstone-controlled access. Gates normally open with player clicks, but can be held open or closed with constant redstone power, overriding manual interaction. The redstone control creates automated animal pen gates that open when farms need feeding and close to secure animals afterward. Fence gates connect to adjacent fences automatically, creating seamless barriers that don't need manual gap filling. The gate appearance comes in different wood types, letting you match them to build aesthetics without compromising functionality. Players use fence gates in villager trading halls where you need to release villagers into breeding chambers on redstone timing. The redstone override means you can lock gates open or closed regardless of player attempts to manually operate them. Redstone lamp. Glowstone meets redstone equals controllable lighting at full brightness. Light level 15 when powered, darkness when not. Crafted from glowstone and redstone, lamps create controllable lighting without placing torches everywhere. The lamp activates on any redstone signal regardless of strength, making it simple to wire into existing circuits. Lamps stay on as long as power continues and turn off with a 2-tick delay after power cuts, creating brief, lingering light. These enable automatic lighting systems that turn on at night using daylight sensors or player detection lamps that illuminate rooms as you enter. The instant-on response makes lamps perfect for indicator lights that show farm status or redstone circuit states. Lamps produce no heat or fire unlike torches, making them safe around flammable materials that torches would ignite. Players use lamps in decoration where they want hidden lighting that appears from walls or floors without visible torch placement. The full brightness matches glowstone but with redstone control, creating dynamic lighting that static glowstone can't provide. Note block. Musical blocks that cycle through 25 pitches and change instruments based on what's underneath them. Crafted from planks surrounding redstone dust, note blocks turn redstone into audio output. The block cycles through 25 pitches when clicked and plays one note per power pulse with a half-second cooldown. The instrument changes based on what block sits underneath, creating 15 different sounds from pianos to didgeridoos. Note blocks enable musical contraptions that play songs using timed redstone clocks to trigger notes in sequence. The sound travels a large distance, making note blocks useful for alarms and notification systems that need to be heard across your base. Players create elaborate music machines that play entire songs note by note through complex redstone sequencing. The instrument variety means you can create full band arrangements with melody, harmony, and rhythm sections all from note blocks. Note blocks show up in adventure maps as atmospheric audio that plays when you enter certain areas or complete objectives. Jukebox. Hold discs, play music, output unique comparator signals. Ambient audio meets redstone readability in one diamond-centered block. Crafted from planks surrounding a diamond, jukeboxes create ambient music with redstone readability. Inserting discs plays music continuously until the disc ends or gets removed, creating atmosphere without complex note block sequences. The comparator output varies from 1 to 15 based on which disc is inserted, creating 15 distinct signal strengths for disc-based contraption triggers. Jukeboxes power adjacent comparators while music plays, giving you audio-based redstone that activates during songs. These enable music-reactive contraptions that respond differently to different discs or trigger events at specific song moments. The jukebox stops music when powered by redstone, creating player-controlled audio that turns off when needed. Players use jukeboxes and basses for ambient music that makes areas feel more alive without constant note block loops. The disc collection aspect creates goals where you hunt for specific records to complete your jukebox and its redstone functionality. Powered rail. Golden rails that boost carts to maximum speed when powered and break them hard when unpowered. Crafted from gold ingots, stick, and redstone, powered rails create speed control for minecart transportation. The rail boosts minecarts to maximum speed when powered by redstone, maintaining momentum across long distances. Unpowered rails act as brakes, rapidly slowing carts until they stop completely without player intervention. Powered rails need activation every 8 to 9 blocks to maintain maximum cart speed on level ground. Uphill rails need more frequent power to prevent carts from rolling backward down slopes. These enable long-distance minecart systems that transport players and items across thousands of blocks. The gold cost makes powered rails more expensive than normal rails, creating resource pressure for large transportation networks. Players use powered rail launchers to accelerate carts from 0 to maximum speed instantly at station exits. Detector rail. Rails that sense when carts pass over and output redstone pulses in response. Instant cart detection. Crafted from iron ingots, stone pressure plates, and redstone, detector rails create cart-based contraption triggers. The rail outputs signal strength 15 to adjacent components while a cart occupies it, creating extended pulses for carts that stop. Comparators placed next to detector rails read the fullness of container carts, outputting storage-based signals like chest comparators. Detector rails enable automatic station systems that detect cart arrivals and trigger platform doors bars or track switches. The pulse duration scales with how long carts occupy the rail, creating variable timing based on cart speed. These work great for item transport systems where you need to detect when resource carts arrive at sorting facilities. Players use detector rails to build cart counters that track how many carts pass through specific junctions. The comparator reading makes detector rails essential for automated minecart item sorters that route based on container contents. Activator rail. Special rails that eject riders, lock hopper carts, and prime TNT carts. Mechanical switches built into your track. Crafted from iron ingots, sticks, and redstone torch, activator rails create cart-based mechanical switches. Powered activator rails eject mobs and players from minecarts, dropping them exactly at the rail position. Hopper minecarts passing over powered activator rails lock their item collection until passing over another activator rail to unlock. These enable automated cart systems where riders get ejected at specific stations without needing manual dismounting. The hopper locking creates item collection zones where you control exactly when carts start and stop collecting drops. Activator rails shake minecarts containing TNT, priming the explosive without needing player interaction. Players use activator rails in mob farms where hopper carts need to collect items only in specific zones while ignoring drops elsewhere. The ejection mechanic works great for automated transit systems that force passengers off at their destination stop. TNT. This explosive block detonates when powered by redstone, destroying nearby blocks and damaging entities. Crafted from gunpowder and sand, TNT creates deliberate destruction for mining and griefing. The TNT ignites after receiving redstone power, creating a 4-second fuse before exploding with power equivalent to roughly 4 creepers. The explosion destroys blocks in a radius and launches items that survive the blast, creating messy but effective mining. Explosions can chain react nearby TNT, creating massive cascading blasts that clear enormous areas in seconds. Water placed around TNT prevents block destruction while maintaining entity damage, creating mob-killing cannons that preserve terrain. Players use TNT in quarries and tunnel borers that excavate massive volumes of stone automatically. The randomness of explosion patterns means TNT mining wastes some resources but clears large areas faster than manual digging. TNT shows up in traps and griefing where you want maximum destruction to bases and contraptions that took hours to build. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more on Minecraft, click the subscribe button.